True step into the room. Shoddy hit, pause and hit resume. Settle in the womb, then I caught a whiff of all the shit you served me. Started swinging kitty scissors, knocking most of piece loose. And I'm the only clansman in my unit. The shot so no more rush, you think there was a few of us. Stolen work, tricks, guys and cats and kids and thugs. Money, clan, rocket, lunch, mom, shotguns, toe. Kevlar creep on a deep night mission. Night vision like Rainbow Six. Kick doors in. Lord, it's funny how the bullets in my trunk wind shine. Cause the speed bump hits running forward.
Yo, it's the late night freedom stream.
Yo.
Coming from us to your screen. It's you boys. We got Mark back. Leighton's here as always. Mark, did you play pickleball on vacation? What did you get up to?
Oh yeah, I went to vacation in Phoenix, Arizona. I saw my cousin get married, and it was really nice. Stayed in an Airbnb that had a pickleball court in the backyard, and played a bunch of pickleball with the brothers, the uncles, cousins. So had a great time. But wedding was beautiful too. It was like a classic, like white guy marries Mexican girl. There was like a mariachi band. And, there was a donkey running around that had coolers strapped to it with beers in it and stuff. It was great.
That's dope. That's crazy.
So we had a good time.
Oh man. Well, there's been a lot happening this week. I want to talk about last weekend I worked security at the Galois, and there was this stand-up comedian called Lewis Black who was on the Daily Show, was a contributor for the Daily Show. The only thing I recognized him for in his bio was he was the voice of anger in that Pixar movie Inside Out. And so anyways, me and Jesse are working this security gig, and we get stationed at the front of the stage to kind of like make sure nobody bum rushes them, / really all we were doing was making sure nobody was taking flash pictures or videos. I guess when comedians go to like big clubs or like to theaters like that, it has to be in their contract that it's new material. So people like videotaping is a big deal. But anyway, so we get stationed up at the front, and this opening act goes on, and he's not that funny. His timing's good, but it's like kind of just like lefty, normie nonsense. And me and Jesse are like, And then we're like, oh, maybe the headliner will be better. And then this Lewis Black guy goes on, and it's literally just like an hour and a half of a room full of liberals clapping like seals, and him being like, Christianity's stupid. Trump's stupid. I hate Ron DeSantis. Mom's for liberty. What's that? Unbelievable. Like, it was the hackiest, most unfunny show I've ever seen. And the fact that he can like pack a room in Springfield, Missouri, and there's like enough like liberals to show up to go support him. And he was so bad, and it's crazy because he's like the last of a dying breed, I realized, because he was made famous by mainstream media outlets like the Daily Show and MSNBC, and kind of like this old media where you could get projected just to like the masses, and everybody was like, oh, this is normal, this is funny, and then they kind of like buy into it. But now I don't think there's really like, I don't know, if you suck that bad, I don't think you'll be famous anymore. I say that, but there's really shitty people with platforms.
Yeah, I remember seeing old Lewis Black specials, and it was like boomer leftist opinions. All it was like Democrat opinions from like 15 years ago that like he does. I mean, he's obviously not updating on purpose, because it's like you can't make jokes with the new leftists.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they fell in line with certain stuff. Like in his set, like they made the opener was talking about how, oh, I always hated masks. Masks are dumb. You know, that's like the one way he grew towards the truth, was like he can finally say that. But the whole DNC is on board with that. It's so safe to say.
Yeah, right when it's convenient, right when everyone takes them off.
Exactly.
I'm the normal one again. Yeah.
And then Lewis Black at one point was talking about like, the problem with this country is people can't agree on what reality is. There's two different realities, which is facts, but you're part of the group that doesn't believe in biological sex and borders. He was literally clowning on conservatives for wanting immigrants to be deported and was mocking North Dakota for enacting some law saying, oh, it's so ridiculous. There's no illegal immigrants in North Dakota. Nobody's in North Dakota. You know how crazy that is? Yet, meanwhile, like in Missouri, like I told you guys just a minute ago before the stream started, there was like a car full of Mexicans casing people's mailboxes on my farm road, like in Springfield, out in BFE, like not inside of the city limit, like right outside of city limits. So it's everywhere. Like point being, it's like, yeah, I wish that we could agree on reality, and that's a big part of the reason that I'm so comfortable identifying as a Republican nowadays. Sometimes I envy dudes or anybody who's like, the left and the right are a bird of two wings of the same bird, and I'm independent, and I think for myself, like, that sounds really cool, but I think it's cowardice, not just being like, I believe in biological sex and immigration, therefore I'm a Republican in 2024. You got to support the party that is seeking to enact laws based around just like basic fundamental truths. And Lewis Black, like the first part of his stand-up special, he's such a loser, dude. Like the first like 30 minutes of his stand-up special, it was him talking about like arguing with his 110-year-old mother about drawing Social Security. I'm like, could you be any more stereotypically like an ancient Jew from Hollywood, bro? Like, what? It's just embarrassing. And I was so mad, bro. I was so exhausted by the end of the show. And it's just like the woman that was sitting closest to me, she literally, I was like, hey, welcome to the show. Like, they're like, oh, it's my husband's birthday. We came out to see Lewis Black for my husband's birthday. And I'm like, oh, cool. She's like, do you like swear words? And I'm like, is that the name of one of his specials? And she's like, no, like swear words. Do you like them? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a big fan, I guess, but that's the level these people are at with comedy. They're like, he said the bad word, funny. Like literally, that's his whole shtick. Like just swearing a lot and going like he literally does that. He goes,
yeah, he's a gyrating old man.
The only angry old man I appreciate is Gavin McInnes. Not really. There's plenty of fine angry old men out there. Oh, and I knew the one person that got kicked out. The one person that got kicked out of this entire show. It was like 2 minutes before the show was over. And I know it was fucking the lead singer from Sister Lucille who had one too many. It was like there was a dude in the audience and he was like, somebody tell this bitch to shut the fuck up. Like, he honestly should have got kicked out too. But then she like stood up and she's like, Lewis, I'm the only one who agrees with you, Lewis. And Jesse went up the aisle and she like started going towards the stage and she like ran into Jesse and like fell onto him. And they got kicked out. And literally he was saying bye. He was ending his special. Like she almost made it, dude. She almost made it. And I'm like, what, you think like because you're Springfield royalty or whatever, you're gonna like get to hang out with Lewis Black and get to go play blues in Hollywood or something? Like, I don't know. I'm sure the alcohol had a big influence on it, but oh boy, I'm glad I don't drink anymore. That could be me. If it weren't for the grace of God, there go I. Isn't that what they say?
I'm drinking alcohol right now.
You sinner.
It's kombucha.
My new boss and me got in a huge argument about this because he's a good Christian man. He gave me a job and I admire him. I appreciate it, whatever. And but his theology differs from mine in a few places. And I could go grab the papers, like, because we got in a big fight about it. I think he felt bad because he was pretty hard on me. He was like, drinking alcohol, that's not Christian. Like he was talking about the difference between new wine and old wine and wine in the Bible, which I had not really even noticed that distinction, to his credit. And but he was, I told him I don't drink, but I think it is permissible for Christians to drink, and he just like lost it on me, So he stayed up late and did like a Bible study and gave me these papers, like these scriptures. There definitely is more scripture condemning drunkenness and drinking than there is like endorsing it. But the wine Jesus made must have been alcoholic. Like it wasn't grape juice.
Yeah, there's a man, when he turns the water into wine at the wedding party, there's a guy who comes, and when he tastes it, he says, "What, you saved the best for last," which is like, he's obviously surprised because it's not tradition to save the best for last. You usually bring out the good stuff first, and then after everyone's had their fill, you bring out the stuff that's not so good so they can, enjoy that. But it's like,
right.
It's obviously alcohol.
Yeah, that's, I'm pretty convinced of that as well. I don't know why I brought that up. Oh yeah, you're a sinner, Mark. Sinner.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, no, I definitely am. Shoot. So there was Lewis Black. Yeah, that was a nightmare. I told my boss that I want hazard pay because I'm pretty sure listening to him for an hour and a half gave me cancer. But I don't think he's going to go for it. I don't think he's going to give me the hazard pay.
At least a mental health vacation. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Did you guys see that Trump actually got charged like $500 million or something?
I didn't see that. Did
Yeah.
it actually?
So one of those, there's like a half a dozen, maybe a dozen court cases going on with all these liberal DAs, and one of them stuck apparently. Actually, let me go to my Facebook page because this liberal that I know, named Jack, he has like a charity thing for homeless people, which is great. We love that. That's good. That's good. We love that, Jack. But he tagged me in a thing because he knows I'm a big Trump guy, and I made fun of him for having Trump derangement syndrome the other day, so I think he's a little salty about it. But it was a YouTube video talking about, oh, Trump can't pay this because he doesn't have enough money. I thought he was a billionaire. And, my instinctual thoughts about that are, do you think Alex Jones should actually have to pay $1 billion for words he said too? Like, of course, if you can pull here, and also Donald Trump, he might still be a billionaire. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, it's kind of.
I don't think he's ever said that he's a billionaire. I think he's a millionaire, not a billionaire.
He was a billionaire.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh.
He absolutely.
Yeah, maybe
was.
at the peak of his company.
But right, he sacrificed a lot of financial gain to become the president of the United States and try to fix the mess that Obama made. So even that I respect, and it wouldn't be surprising to me if he's lost a shit ton of money trying to do what he's doing now, because half the country wants him dead essentially or in jail. Leighton, will you just go to my Facebook page and look at the posts that I'm tagged in? Because I'm also, if somebody would get on Facebook and look at the comments for the stream and maybe read some of them. I can't get into Facebook right now, so I don't know what's happening there.
Ben Collins from Facebook says the Bible says alcohol is for those unable to work for food, so they may drink their troubles away. Proverbs 31:6-7.
I think he's paraphrasing a little bit there, but I know what you're talking about.
Looks like we have two streams going all at once. Michael Sykes says, "What's the debate?"
What's he say?
What's the debate?
It's not a specific debate. We're kind of just like hitting topics right now. Right now, we're talking about Trump getting indicted potentially. Are those all our comments?
Yes. I'm trying to find that post you're tagged in. What was it?
It should be pretty high up.
Yeah. Trump can't afford to pay massive debt, admits he's broke.
Let's check this out and see what Jack Pike is trying to own me with. Can't hear it.
Trump
We got him, folks.
Money to put up the required cash bond to stop the enforcement of the New York Attorney General's over $500 million judgment. And if he doesn't have a bond in place or a stay by the appellate court, hold that thought, that's what he's trying for now, then starting Letitia James and the people of the state of New York can take that judgment and start going against Donald Trump's assets, liquidating his bank accounts, liquidating his property, liquidating his real estate, his cars, his boats, his planes, his furniture, his jewelry, you name it. And Donald Trump doesn't want that to happen, but he wants to try to stop it on the cheap. Here's how it works on an appeal. You got enough money for the bond plus 120%. So 120% of the amount of your judgment needs to be posted. Either a bonding company needs to do it, and they're going to require an exorbitant amount pledged by Donald Trump and cash on hand, either by what's called a letter of credit or cash in the bank to give him a $500 million loan, or he's got to put it up in cash. And Donald Trump has now told the court system, and therefore us, that he has to, quote, raise capital and raise the money to.
How long is this garbage?
It's like 11:52.
Good grief, we're not watching all that. So, I mean, where's the own? Can you keep skip? Is this whole segment just this like liberal attorney guy talking?
Yeah. If you scroll through this little scrolling wheel, you can see it kind of looks like a funny cartoon guy kind of dancing around.
Cut like halfway into it. Let's see if he.
Part, not the part banning him from getting loans. See, I love this part. This is Letitia James cutting off access to capital markets by Donald Trump. He says he has to raise the capital. She doesn't want him to raise the capital from New York banks. So she said the other part of this that should not be stayed pending the full appeal is the ban that the judge imposed on him right now, Donald Trump taking loans out with New York banks. So she's no dummy. She knows that he might try to do that. So she says that's another aspect. Don't let him go to banks in New York either.
Okay, turn that off. It's all a nothing burger. The charge is a nothing burger. The conviction is a nothing burger. Nothing will come of it. They're just trying everything they have. It's not going to work. Cope and seethe. Sorry.
And they want to act like we've always known Trump was a criminal. We've always known it's been like this. It's like, oh, it was like that when you brought him on SNL. It was like that when he had his own reality TV show and everyone loved him when he was in a Mac Miller song. It's just like they're totally crazy.
That reminds me of this Uber driver I had when I lived on the other side of town. He was one of my neighbors. And he told me, he was like, yeah, just stay away from this one guy. He's got like a Trump flag and he sucks. I'm just like, oh, well, I'm a Trump supporter. You know, what's wrong with Trump? And he's like, well, you know, I used to own every season of The Apprentice, but you know, he's just not a good president, you know? And I'm like, he's the best president I've ever seen in my lifetime.
It's kind of like the I have black friends argument. I'm not racist or anything, but I have black friends.
He was trying to save face, but I absolutely believe him because it was like this skinny little gay man. You know, he probably lived over there with his husband, and they, you know, just like binge watching The Apprentice. I could 100% see it. But now that Trump bad, he can't enjoy his favorite show anymore.
And they just think we're the type of people who are still just obsessed with him. It's like, you know, no, we're principled conservatives who realize Trump is not even the best conservative president ever. He's just, it's just about the revenge tour of him, like getting back at these intelligence agencies who have used all this, using the justice system like this. Is just, it's unprecedented. Like they will tell you this has never been done before. And just, it's disgusting. And it's like, I can't wait for it to turn back on them, because eventually it will. Even if it's not Trump, they've kind of just set the precedent to completely go after their own corruption, because they're trying to fabricate all this corruption. It's like, America's got plenty of real corruption to deal with. So hopefully it comes back to him.
And hopefully he won't drop the ball. And this time he has no excuse for not knowing who his enemies are. None. You know, he tried to play ball and like work with everybody last time. He really did. But you know, he's got to use Vivek Ramaswamy's strategy to defund these 3-letter agencies. Like, that's a big deal. That needs to happen. We need to cut ties with China. Like Vivek's platform was so good. I hope Trump just steals it.
Yeah.
I really do. And
I hope
liberals will tell you he's good at stealing other people's good ideas. So hopefully he'll do that.
Yeah.
Hey, Leighton, will you pull up the FBI on Twitter, their official FBI Twitter page? It's so insane, and it will just give people a good idea of like how fucked the FBI is.
Yeah, FBI on Twitter.
Find us, like, it won't be hard to find. Look for just like what is that?
FBI foils FBI terrorist plot.
Yeah, exactly. What does that say?
22 push-up challenge, which recognize the 22 U.S. veterans lost to suicide each day and honors military service members.
Okay, well that's fairly wholesome.
Yeah.
Keep going. It shouldn't take long. You gotta read.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Right there.
Dangerous products and closing businesses. These are just some of the impacts organized retail theft has on everyday Americans. Learn what the FBI does to combat these crimes on the federal level to protect shoppers across the country.
Right. And then the stock photo. Go up, Leighton. Click on the photo.
The stock photo. When you go to Google and search shoplifting, it will only come up with photos of white people shoplifting.
And we all know that white people are doing most of that's why there's all these food deserts in white neighborhoods.
Or look at the Asians too. It's like, is this the stereotype?
Yeah, it's all white.
This is probably a fair time to pull up those crime statistics Mark had sent.
Yeah.
And it's just like the FBI is just like playing the same hand that every other liberal agency is playing. And there is an issue with retail theft. We've all seen the videos of like the BLM riots and just like continually in big cities, like people just go in and grab shit. Nobody tries to stop them. They don't go to jail. They bond out like the day that they get in and they're back out stealing shit. They'll steal like 20, 30, like they'll go back multiple times in a day, and if you've seen the videos, it's not just like hordes of white people doing this, And this is the reason there's food deserts. Like you'll see black communities go, oh, this Walgreens is being shut down because of institutional racism. This Walgreens is being shut down because the members of your community do not respect society and have stole so much that it's not profitable for this organization or this company to have a store in this geographical location anymore because they are hemorrhaging money because so much product is stolen. That's God's honest truth.
I saw a thing about an In-N-Out burger in Oakland, California that shut down, and a bunch of people are saying it's racist and they don't want us to have burgers. And it's like the In-N-Out burger of all the places came out with a statement saying we closed because the crime in the area was so high, and that if there was a line through the drive-through, people would get their cars broken into or be hijacked or robbed at gunpoint. So it's like In-N-Out burger is brave enough to say, hey, we just can't do our business in these areas because the crime is so high.
Good for them.
Other places will come close down. Other huge businesses, Louis Vuitton, will close down and make no statement. They'll be hush hush about why the real reason why they can't operate there.
And here's the crime stat that I got pulled up. Firearm homicide death rates by race. Annual firearm homicide deaths among men per 100,000 per year by race and state.
It's 59. Well, it's 59 to 2. Or if I'm being generous, I'm rounding up to 3. So for every 3 white guys that kill somebody, there's almost 60 black guys that kill somebody in Missouri. And it's like that.
Oh, it's 20. It's a 20 percent difference to a 56
that differential is insane.
It's the highest of any of them.
Why? That's so interesting.
It's never on this side. I mean, I hate to say that that's racist because it's not. It's just stats.
Why is it the highest in Missouri? Really though, no, I'm serious.
It's Missouri.
No, I know, but I never really. I guess because of St. Louis and Kansas City, but
I guess I would expect places like Ohio, places of Chicago and all that would have higher, I guess, homicides, but I don't know. It's per 100,000 men, so
Yeah, it's per capita, so maybe because our population's lower, that
Yeah.
it just kind of makes that difference.
But it's a differential nonetheless. It's still like
That's a good point,
remarkable.
Mark. It is. Well, it's deeply concerning, and I think these stats are fascinating to me because I've been flashing the KC crime statistics all last week and part of the week before because they were shocking to me. And it was in reference to the KC parade because I saw a lot of people saying it was a gun issue, but it was actually a black crime issue. And the statistics reflected that, and the perps, the perpetrators of the crimes reflected that. And, as far as I know, we still don't really know what's going on with that. If they're being charged as adults, Kyle Rittenhouse, they tried to charge him as an adult. So it seems like there would be some, if we were living in a totally fair world, it would be the same deal. Cause this was a big public event and it was national news. Like this kid needs to be made an example of legitimately.
But yeah, this is just crazy. It's crazy. A lot of people in the comments on Facebook are saying that it's St. Louis that's causing that stark increase in numbers. I don't think so. I think it's just per capita.
Well, they know St. Louis is a big part of the reason. Like I saw an article, maybe it was in Rolling Stone or something like a few years back, probably like 6 or 7 years ago, and it said East St. Louis is the new Wild West. It was like one of the worst, the worst for gun violence or something.
Huh.
It was the second column. The second column in St. Louis, probably. Are you looking at Facebook comments, Leighton?
Yeah, I am.
What do we got?
Calvin Livgren says, "I'm here. Cut to me. Interview me. I have input." Do you know them, Mark?
That's Mark's dad.
I don't know how to do it. I'm not on Facebook.
We can. You can invite him, Leighton. We could have Calvin on. That'd be neat.
Yeah, Calvin,
if he wants to come on.
Calvin, if you're watching,
dad. I love Cal. What else do we got going?
Oh, sorry.
How dare you?
I'm trying to share my screen. I was going to go to the Vice on Twitter, Vice News. It's fun to just scroll through there.
Oh yeah, isn't it dying too? Like a lot of people are about to lose their jobs there.
Yeah, they're shutting down finally.
Yeah.
They just announced that, but in the last couple of weeks, they've had some bangers.
There was 300 people laid off, or I can't remember. So originally Vice was founded by Gavin McInnes, Shane Gillis, or not Shane Gillis. I'm sorry, Shane. I forget his last name, and then the Indian guy. The only one I know is Gavin McInnes, but it was those three guys.
It Sean Smith or something? He was
Shane Smith. Shane Smith. And so he sold the company, he made this new woman the face of the company, and now it's dying. Which is, I'm
actually scrolling through Vice and I found this article saying a 19-year-old died after taking gas station heroin. His mom wonders why it's still being sold legally. Gas station heroin, what the fuck?
You haven't tried that? Oh, it's good.
Is it real?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder what it is.
Let's skim through this article. It's really interesting. Next to his body was a half-eaten plate of pizza rolls and a nearly empty bottle contained pills. Vibe.
Tenepentine? Is that what they are?
Tenepentine. I don't.
Known as gas station heroin. Yeah, I've never heard of that. Take that word and Google it, Leighton. Tenepentine? What is that?
It's an antidepressant.
Antidepressant drug approved for the treatment of major depressive disorder, and they sell it at gas stations.
In the U.S. is classic.
Look at that. I would take this too.
Oh, I think I've tried the Zaza. I think I thought it was kratom. That looks like kratom.
You got high on gas station heroin.
I've eaten kratom from gas stations for sure. I'm not proud of that, but I wouldn't recommend it either. It's not good stuff to put in your body, but because kratom is just like a plant from Malaysia. But I don't know what the Zaza was, but they'll sell it in the shots right next to right next to like the Zen kratom shots and stuff. So that's kind of confusing. That's
Another
sketchy.
comment from
Don't
Facebook.
drink gas station kratom, kids.
Calvin is wanting them to walk us through it. Calvin, you're going to click on the link and then you're going to set up your profile, your name, make sure your mic's on, make sure your camera's on, and then just join in. We're going to add you to the stage.
Yeah, you should just be able to click on the link and it'll probably use your camera on your phone.
Josiah W. Bottom also on Facebook says, do you guys think these stats reflect a trickle-down effect from previous allowed systemic racism like red line laws, war on drugs, and similar things that have created a culture or atmosphere of poverty which leads to the statistics?
Personally, I think that that's not the main culprit. You know, I think that most of the institutional racism is against white people nowadays. Honestly, there clearly was institutional racism against blacks in the past. And, you know, I think the main argument that liberals will make on behalf of blacks is generational wealth. Like, oh, they're poor now because the white man got a leg up a couple generations ago. Your grandfather had a leg up because he was white. So he saved up money and your father got it. And now you have it. They found with generational wealth that I think it's 1 or 2 generations, it's gone. Like if you don't earn the money yourself, it doesn't last. So, you know, there are successful black families and they're like my like I always use the example of my dad. I know it's anecdotal, but he was a poor kid from Pleasant Hill, Missouri. His family didn't hardly make shit. And, you know, everything that he had, he worked for. And, you know, he's made a pretty good life for himself. And I work 10-hour days every day. And, you know, that's the advice that I would give to somebody who's sitting around on welfare or like not applying for jobs or considering joining a gang or doing something fucking stupid is be an individual. Don't look at yourself as a member of like your groups. Look at like a good example of like somebody who's successful and somebody you actually admire and strive to be like, to do what they do, work hard, put in the work and it'll pay off. You know, like I feel like this whole, we're too far along in American history for me to be compelled by arguments of, oh, I'm down and out because of slavery. I'm not buying it. You know, I understand that maybe the crack epidemic in like the 60s and the 70s, CIA may have had something to do with it. I understand that. You still have to take the crack and ingest it into your body. So it comes down to personal responsibility and individual responsibility. So I don't buy the whole thing that I'm part of this group, therefore I'm oppressed. It's like, no, do better, develop a personality, develop some marketable skills, and have a good life. This is America. You can be whatever you want to be.
I mean, you know, and the thing about it is that statistic specifically was towards like firearm homicide. It wasn't towards like stuff like stealing or anything.
I think he was just asking in general about like that kind of narrative of,
I mean,
like our response to this idea of systematic oppression. Like, and there is something to like little kids growing up in low income neighborhoods with gangs and people aspiring to be nothing but rappers and athletes and not being able to see themselves doing things that are like truly going to be reasonable and marketable. And statistically, they'll have a chance at like being able to get into, you know, like there can only be a very select few athletes. Like most rappers are going to end up as shitty drug dealers or dead, not famous, you know? So I think there is a cultural issue and people have like been like stayed in these low income areas. But I would argue that, you know, the blacks that want to get out of that do, and they work hard, they keep their head down. They don't really associate with their neighbors. And when they get enough money to move away, they do it. You know, and the people who stay there are living on welfare and not really taking the steps to get out of that awful situation. I will say I am fortunate. I wouldn't call it white privilege, but I am grateful to God, I guess, that I wasn't born in that kind of situation. You know, I had a pretty idealistic childhood I was my parents, you know, I don't think that either of them would call themselves Christians now, but they sheltered me from the world when I was young and taught me about God. And my mother was my teacher. She educated me. I was homeschooled, you know, and they really, really tried to protect my innocence and spent a lot of time and money and resources and worked their asses off to make that work. And, you know, they didn't do that because they're privileged. They did that because they decided that's what was right. And that's what they were going to do. And they made it happen, you know, so
saying it like it's a trickle down effect is it's like it's a trickle down effect in people's minds who still can't get over slavery when it was, you know, it's when the black community was doing better in 1960s under Jim Crow. It's like when since then the government has spent $20 trillion trying to help their community, and it's only made things worse.
right.
It's like if you can't take the hint at what's actually causing the problem and just go back to something, you know, 200 years ago, it's like their community is going to get worse when the communities that have experienced racism from American whites in the past, like Koreans or Japanese, and how are they doing now in America? They're at the absolute top. They're earning the most income, you know, per their community. So
We
it's like,
literally had internment camps for the Japanese.
and it's like, what was the difference with them? We didn't subsidize every problem they had. They had to, you know, work just like everyone else did, and it was better for them in the end. It's just like when we've talked about it tons of times on the show, the more you incentivize people to stay in that situation, the more they're going to want to. When if they have all these handouts, they're not going to want more. They're not going to want a better life.
Leighton, will you keep checking
That's what's
Facebook
keeping
comments? Because I just can't. I don't know if people are active in this conversation with us or.
Andrea Arvig says, "What the fuck?"
Hello to you too.
Calvin Livgren gave us an update. He said, "Forget it. I'm tired. Set me up for an interview."
We'll do it another time, Cal. Love you, man.
Thanks, Dad.
We'll walk you through how to do all the stuff to get you in. But
Did Josiah say anything else?
no, not currently.
Oh, okay. Well, Josiah, if you want to get on the stream, you're welcome to. Just say something if you do.
Did you guys hear about the?
Or Andrea, if you want to get on here, you can too. If you totally disagree with everything I'm saying, I would really appreciate having a little pushback because we don't get it a lot on this show. Like if you're like totally confounded by what's happening on your screen right now, like please, you can get involved. You can
come on the show.
Come on the show.
Yeah. Did you guys hear about that? What is it? That Palestine protester that set themselves on fire?
Yes.
Oh, that shit was fucking crazy, dude. Like, I mean, it was like this military U.S. Air Force. Aaron Bushnell was their name, and they had like a wife and kids. And fuck, man, like they just set themselves on fire in front of like an Israeli embassy in like Washington D.C. or something like that. And dude, it's fucking crazy. Like, I mean, this shit's like getting out of control. Like, I thought it was crazy whenever people were like blocking roadways in solidarity with Palestine, but now it's just fucking like people are like setting themselves on fire and shit for this.
It's totally unhinged, and it's a leftist tradition. I remember there was a climate activist who was like a Buddhist and like a yoga practitioner who set himself on fire to protest change. And I don't know. I can't think of a dumber way to send yourself straight to hell than that. Just like my environment. Like, doesn't that make a bunch of carbon emissions setting yourself on fire anyways? Like I never got that.
They just messed up the environment, dude.
Mark, I think you had mentioned that this Palestine protester was like a very involved activist in his community.
I mean, yeah, I saw some old like social media posts from him, and he was working with tons of leftist groups. Like he was all into homelessness activism and all this stuff. And it's like most of it seemed like all happy and wholesome. And it's like, really, I think behind the scenes, these people are having like a crisis of meaning, and they can't like communicate it. And there's just like a quiet desperation to, how much they have to prove that they're a part of the group of leftists, and it's like a religion.
Yeah. Maybe his
crazy.
maybe his deepest desire, like was to like be a hero and to become a martyr. And he's just so delusional with this leftist narrative that he went for it. Like,
Yeah.
It's I talk about having the courage of your convictions, but the shame of it is the thing he died for is hogwash that has nothing to do with him. Literally, it has nothing to do even with like his own life, like the fact that he had children and a family, and he's gonna make his life a public testament to the persecution of the people of Palestine. It's like, man, this war has been going on since even before America was a twinkle in any of our founders' eyes. You guys know where I stand with it. I don't think we should be sending money to Israel. A lot of Christians would disagree with me on that, but personally,
I don't think
I
we're sending any money to any of it. I
don't want to send money anywhere.
But he's an airman in the military. You would think he would have some kind of like geopolitical understanding of this type of stuff and wouldn't get wrapped up in it like that. Like if you're ready to maybe fly drone bombs into the same people, it's like, what are you doing in the military if you're a bleeding heart that bad?
Yeah. I mean, we got the video here too, and it's fucking wild. I'll
is
pull it
crazy.
up real quick.
We might not. It blurs it out when he sets himself on fire, but we might not play that part. Let it play out.
I am an active duty member of the United States Air Force, and I will no longer be complicit in genocide.
Whoa.
That's okay. That's okay.
I mean, we don't have to show it.
He literally just he talks about how Israel's colonizers and or baby Palestine. Now I'm going to set myself on fire.
Extreme active protest.
Yeah, and he does it. I think it is confirmed they did it. Yeah. Aaron passed away after setting himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy in Washington, protesting against the Gaza genocide committed by Israel and aided by the U.S. government. His final words was "Free Palestine."
Free Palestine. Yeah, he screams it a bunch while he's on fire. The level of commitment is so bizarre. And the lack of introspection. What a fool. They say not to mock the dead, and I'm not trying to, but what a selfish fool for leaving his family in the name of Free Palestine.
And it's I've seen old black and white photos of a monk doing it in protest. It's okay, this guy's actually really trying to say something, but he's a monk. This guy doesn't have a family. It's to do that. It's insane.
Andrea Arvig said on Facebook, we need to have incentives for people who are able to build themselves up and out of poverty.
Yeah. I mean, there are incentives for building yourself up and out of poverty. It's to get out of poverty. I'm sure that's not exactly what you meant, but can you send her a link?
Yeah. Well, we'll get her a link. Andrea, check your inbox on Messenger. We're sending you a link to the stream. Calvin also said that it's this simple. You don't work, you don't eat. Some exceptions are already funded.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss that.
You don't work, you don't eat. Some exceptions are already funded. So if you don't work for the stuff that you want, you're not going to eat.
Yeah,
it takes work in order to eat.
That was Calvin Morrow.
Calvin Livgren.
Oh, Livgren. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a Bible verse too. I mean, the Bible endorses that, not giving people handouts unless they're willing to put in some work to receive something.
Yeah, Andrea, all you're going to do is just click on the link that I sent you and set up your name, turn on your camera, turn on your mic. You don't have to have your camera on, but
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do just audio, but if you have your phone, you have a front-facing camera you can use, and we can get you on here and have a little conversation if you like.
She said, I have a gerontology major and I have a minor in sociology. I studied a lot of about the life course perspective. When you're born to certain parents in certain places, your later life outcomes of health and wealth are different from that of others. Of course, personal choices matter, but accumulation is a thing. And she said she's not getting on there.
Well, it's a balance. There's hereditary, issues, but there's, no person is completely bound by like whatever their parents made them. It's like there's an element of that in there, but it's like people decide who they are.
Well,
in
and
the end.
it is a tough philosophical question too, because anybody who's been around young children before they've had a chance to really soak up their environment, there is like a person encoded in there. There's a personality there already. So that's a big part of it. But your environment, the question is it 70-30? And in what way? Is it like 70% your biological disposition and 30% your social environment and your upbringing? Or is it the other way around where it's 30% your biology and stuff and 70% your upbringing? The upbringing is really important, but it's kind of like what Mark was saying earlier. How many social programs, how much money can we burn? And like the problem's not getting better, it's getting worse. So these social programs clearly aren't working. And, I don't see why you don't want to get on, like, honestly, and just have a conversation. All you can do is appeal to your useless degrees. And that's why your opinion matters. But we can't just like talk to each other like normal people.
That's the thing about arguments online, is that everyone wants to just type out their little speech and then not go into it.
And kudos for going to school or whatever, but it's like, are you using those degrees honestly? Like, I don't know anybody with a sociology degree that actually uses it to make money. They just owe money to the school and know too much about people and get stressed out now.
And I mean, the thing with incentives, like, you have to have your own personal incentive to get back up and get to work and to eat. You kind of have to that's kind of the thing that you need to do yourself, I guess. You have to have
your survival instincts need to kick in.
It's not just survival instincts, it's like motivation, it's determination and self-dedication.
Well, the survival instincts would be a good place to start, but they're not even kicking in because of these social programs. People are getting comfortable.
Working on my administrator license. Go check out that salary, says Andrea on Facebook.
Go check out what?
Administrator license. Check out the salary on it. She's getting her so it's for nursing homes, I guess.
But I would also say that like the justice system is entirely based off of people ultimately having personal responsibility. If someone murders someone, they don't bring them in there and say, well, were you abused as a child? And did someone hit you? Was someone assaulting you at one point? It's like, no, everything assumes that people are ultimately responsible for the decisions they make if they're being punished for them or rewarded.
Andrea says it's not too bad for having a degree, so I guess the salary is really high for the job that she wants, which, I mean, that's good on you. Like, I mean,
yeah, that's a fair point. Like, if you are using your degree to like make a good salary, good for you. And Andrea, I do have a lot of respect for you, and I do have a lot of respect for your father. Her dad's Wesley, who was a good pal of mine for a while. I don't think he wants to talk to me anymore, but we did a lot of little odd jobs together and played a lot of music, and I love Wesley, and I ought to reach out to him sometime, I guess. But I hope to see you at an open mat, because I know that you're a practitioner of jiu-jitsu as well. She's a purple belt. I mean, she'll probably smoke me on the mat, but I do have some admiration for you from afar, Andrea. And when we've seen each other in person, she's been nothing but personable and kind to me, and we've had a good relationship. I know we politically and ideologically disagree, but I just want to put that out there.
I'm telling you, man, the female like karate people, they'll fucking kick your ass. Like, when I was doing karate,
I wouldn't go that far.
I was doing karate. There's this one like I guess she was a nurse at Cox, but she was one of our masters, and she like fucking Jesus Christ, she could like clear a room with like her kicks and shit. Like they were crazy. And
Ooh.
she says that this is why Andrea says that this is why I didn't want to get on there. I knew you would start being rude. She says
I was
she is
only
a
rude because
libertarian.
you didn't get on here.
She also says she is a libertarian, which is cool. But
I used to
I
be.
mean, we're not gonna dogpile you.
Yeah.
Like we're
I
just
used to be libertarian.
I used to be too. I still have my Getson flag somewhere.
Yeah, well, and libertarianism was okay when liberalism still existed in reality, but now if you give any ground to that ideology, all of a sudden you don't know what biology is or borders or like it's just like that's like
Yeah.
the Democratic the DNC and the Democratic platform has gone so far past like the Overton window and like jumped the shark and is just crazy and gone that there's not room to be like you probably missed my rant about this earlier where I wish that I could be like the cool libertarian guy, but it's like to be Republican just means you believe in like basic biological facts and geographical boundaries at this rate. You know, maybe I'll just keep repeating that this whole episode because I think it's a fair point.
I also don't really agree with libertarian stance on like the age of consent and stuff too.
I doubt that she holds any controversial takes about
It's
age.
usually the weird like online male kind of libertarians that she says, I want gay people to be free and I want my guns. You want to take people's rights away.
What rights do I want to take away from anybody, Andrea? Literally. Like tell me what rights I'm trying to take away from people.
Wait, like I mean this might
gay
be
people have
but I'm a gay conservative, Andrea, so that kind of understand that might be hard to grasp. But I went to what is it, Martha's Vineyard the other night, and I wore my MAGA shirt.
Oh, you did? How'd that go?
And one girl like asked me like, "Is that a MAGA 2024 shirt?" And I said, "Yeah." And she was like, "Can you explain that?" And I said, "Well, I'm a gay conservative." She was all like, "That you do know Trump like doesn't want you to have rights and stuff." I'm like, that's not true. Trump is like probably the most like LGBTQ friendly like president out there.
Historically in New York, I mean, like if you can't live in New York and hate gay people, like or black people, or like New York is the most like diverse city in the world. You know, Trump has been around gay people his entire career. He's like been in fashion. Like fashion is all just like gay men. You know,
I mean, and on that too, it's like my main stance of that is that like what else was she saying? She was saying something else that was crazy. She told me that like I said that I more lean towards somewhat libertarian, not on like everything, but like with most of my social politics, I lean libertarian. And she said, well, Trump isn't really that libertarian. And she was like, and I actually had a conversation with her before, and she said that she like worked at a weed farm or something. And she looked like this really like zaza'd out.
That's a callback.
I understand it might be hard for people to grasp. Speaking of which, Andrea, she said you want people to live under Christian law.
According
it's
to
like
you?
See how they flip the script on you, where it's like you have to accept our definition of marriage, which is a man and a man and a woman and a woman. It's like because we're trying to do the same thing and have we're the tyrant on them. It's like, do you not understand the tyranny of your position? That
right?
I have to accept your gay marriage. It's the guy who bakes cakes in Colorado has to celebrate your wedding. It's just like they can't see past. And it's
I'm a gay man. I'm against that. Like I don't think people should be fucking forced to make you your gay wedding cake. Like I mean, dude, like fucking come on.
That's
learn baking. Learn how to bake.
Here's my main issue with gay marriage. I was an advocate of it when the issue first came up because partly I was a dumb teenager and I was still excited about Barack Obama and didn't realize how shitty he was yet. But it wasn't just about gay marriage. Okay, so 10 years ago, gay marriage gets passed, and where are we now? We're reading books about being drag men in dresses that are sexualized are reading books about being gay to kids. It didn't end with marriage. It never ends with anything. So that's what I do think we should go back to more traditional norms. That doesn't mean anybody will be oppressed. It just means that definitions will be reaffirmed. Marriage is ideally, not everybody can procreate, but the purpose of marriage is like that union where you can have children, be safe in the nuclear family. That it is a deep and meaningful and sacred institution that, we thought that, like, the American people said, okay, you want in on that? We'll let you in on it. But it wasn't about that. It was just about seceding more ground and taking more ground. And it's got the ball rolling even faster. And look where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, I somewhat disagree. Somewhat, like I agree.
I would expect that.
I agree on that. Marriage is a really good tool to keeping a nuclear family together, but I don't think it's just for that. Like, I think there's a lot of other incentives to get married and a lot of other reasons why people get married. But I mean, generally, I don't think, people like the whole gay cake thing. I don't think people should be forced to have to accept or like celebrate a gay person's wedding,
Or what about it with adoption? Gay people being prioritized and getting like kids before.
I don't think that's okay either. I think
that's
the
insane.
whole adoption system, though, is all fucked up.
Yeah. Like, things aren't based off of merit. They're based off of what your genitals are, who you want to fuck, and what color skin you have. Like, I just want to see meritocracy. I don't want like Christian nationalism. I just want to live in a normal world where people get things based off of skill and not based off of immutable characteristics they were born with.
I think anybody should be allowed to adopt, and I think that the adoption.
I don't know. I don't know about like.
I think
like gay men adopting kids. It's like fashion statements. Like
I guess.
Do you want kids? I don't even know.
I don't want kids.
They always say
what gay man would. Like, I don't. That doesn't make sense.
They always say all we want to do is get married and have kids, and it's two things they literally cannot do.
Yeah,
right.
It's like they literally can't get married. It's a sacred institution. Yeah, they literally can't. All they can do is force their definition on you.
Right.
And it doesn't change anything about the facts. Marriage is about monogamy. Not like 90% of gay people who are married are not monogamous. And you can look it up. I've seen articles on it. If you ask them themselves, they'll tell you most of the time they're not monogamous. So it's just like,
I hate people like that.
Is it really about marriage?
Fucking weird.
Grayson's talking about his gay dad. Tell that to my dad, LMFAO. I guess his dad is monogamous, but
I don't like polyamory. I think that's fucking weird.
You're headed for a heartbreak as soon as you get involved in it. I mean, it'll ruin your life for sure.
I've been seeing these memes everywhere too, where people are saying that if you break up with someone in a polyamory, is it like playing Among Us where you vote for person?
Well, see, that's another thing, Grayson. If your dad has kids, he's not gay. It makes me think of the gay guy that I talked to at Pride. And he's like, yeah, I got 3 kids. And I'm like, so you're bisexual? He's like, no, I'm gay. When I tried, that's what happened. It's like, dude, that's you. You're not. Like, you're at least bisexual. Like, you can't be a pure gay man if you have children walking the earth from women that you fucked. Like, you can't. You can be like... Oh man! Oh, yeah. Andrea, you got me going, girl. Is she saying anything else?
She deleted all of her comments. So.
No, well, we pretty much repeated all of them on stream. So,
but as I was saying, I don't like. I think of a gay couple. Like,
she probably couldn't handle you being a gay conservative. She's like, shit, I got to get out of here.
I've met gay men who like want kids or like are thinking about wanting kids and wanting to raise a kid. That's totally fine. I think that there is truth, however, to certain gay men wanting it as like a fashion statement, like, oh, here's my I'm 2 daddies and this is my son. Like, I get that. Like, I definitely think that's a real thing, but there's honestly like actual like people of merit that want children that can't have children, that want to adopt and raise one.
Oh yeah, no, I
think the merit level, however, should be based on financial strength, criminal record, background checks, all that. Like it shouldn't be prioritized where it's gay men getting the babies first and then everyone else.
Well, this is an egregious example, but it was in the news last year, and it was these two gay dudes that were married, and they had a bunch of adopted kids, and they were molesting them and letting their friends have sex with them.
I heard about that. That was fucking sick, I think. And
Yeah,
that's why I think merit is important. I don't think that we should build the system off of just them being gay and like, oh, it's so. They would never do that, They would never do
like a third of the children in gay couples who have gay parents as couples are abused. Their rates of sexual abuse. Just look at the rates of sexual abuse among gay couples
and domestic abuse too.
Yeah, and I mean, people just don't think about this stuff. A lot of times in lesbian relationships, there's an abuser. Like you can see in the old school like dyke lesbian relationship, there's one who probably got abused by her father, and she takes it out on whoever their mate is by acting the exact same way.
I mean, man,
put that in your sociology degree and smoke it.
Like man carries misery on the man.
What?
Man carries misery on the man.
Yeah, well, and that is the interesting thing about like psychology, I suppose, is it does like expose to us these like mental wounds that people put on each other. Like the Bible describes it as generational sin, where it's like these patterns of behavior, but you have to have the individual accountability because sure, most people who molest children were molested as a child, but also the statistics for people who are molested as children are so high, and most people who are molested as children do not become child molesters. So the decision is always ultimately in the individual's hand, and we cannot you can't make excuses about like for them based off of trauma that they've had, because you can't take away like their free will, their rational decision making skills, their autonomy as humans and as decision makers and political animals. It's like you have to make up your mind and do some shit, or unless you just do it in anger. That's why there's first and second degree murder.
Oh yeah, Facebook comments also update. I forgot that I was streaming this on my Facebook too.
Oh, nice.
My brother Jordan Sutton, he says, let's not give this guy the credit of being a martyr. He was batshit crazy at best regarding the Palestine fireman.
I agree. I was trying to kind of psychoanalyze him. Like he must have a martyr complex to do something so unhinged. But yes, I totally agree with what you're saying there, Jordan.
He also says we do have incentives. I worked through them myself, which is true. I have seen a lot of development with my brother. That was regarding the whole homeless and stuff that we were talking about earlier.
Me wanting to take people's rights away. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so insane.
Then delete all the comments.
And this is my issue with libertarianism. It's like they make themselves out to be, I'm a free, fun-loving person. I just want everyone to get along. And then they accuse you of being a fascist when they agree with leftist opinions that are basically fascism. It's like, yes. I bet they agree with being pro-choice too. It's like, okay, so we can murder human beings in the womb now as long as you just, are free. It's just like,
right, as long as the government's not telling us what's right and wrong, even though that's literally what every law is telling us what is right and wrong.
Exactly. That is what the law is. That is what the government's even there to do.
Yes.
So. Kind of diverting from our topic. Well, actually, hold on. Jordan, I just want to say that you can't see the other comments because this is streaming to other platforms and we're not able to pull up Facebook comments, so you won't be able to see them on the stream, but we'll read them out. But to divert the topic, have you guys been hearing a lot about that like next Benedict girl or whoever they were?
I saw Brittany Dyer post about her, and the post she made tried to blame libs of TikTok for her being hurt or I don't know much about the story.
I guess it's Next Benedict was like it was a non-binary 16-year-old who I guess got in a fight like a day prior, and I guess like they instigated the fight by like throwing water at like a couple girls or something like that. I don't know. And a day after, I guess or like a few days after she died, not by the trauma. The autopsy confirmed that it was not due to the trauma of the fight, but was, however, caused by some other thing that was not related to the fight.
Is this on stream right now? I just wanted to show this Vice News.
It is.
This is a Vice News article covering the same thing, and look how they frame it. The day before he died, a non-binary 16-year-old from Ossawa, Oklahoma, said they got jumped at school and ended up in the hospital emergency room. So it's like, what are you going to think?
Stop trying to frame it like they died because of the fight. They did not, because there's literally police recording, body cam footage, and I'll pull it up real quick too, of them.
Well, and this is something that leftists always try to accuse the right of doing, is like taking stories and using them for our political gains. It's like, this is the definition of this here. Like, this has nothing to, you know.
But this video actually is pretty interesting to watch too, because the body cam footage.
We never saw each other. The freshmen were sophomore.
Okay.
We didn't know any.
Okay.
I don't know their names. I don't know.
Okay. So they just up and decided to just start messing with you. There was
because of the way that we dressed.
Okay. So you didn't do anything at all at any point in time that would have, even a couple days ago or even a month ago or anything like that.
I don't know these girls.
Okay. All right. So they just continue to pick on you and pick on you. Then at some point you did what happened? They got up and confronted you in class, or did you say it was the bathroom or the hallway? Okay, the bathroom.
We were going to stack chairs, and after we stacked chairs, we went to the bathroom.
Okay.
And I was talking with my friends, they were talking with their friends, and we were laughing, and they had said something like, "Why do they laugh like that?" And they were talking about us in front of us. And so I went up there and I poured water on them.
Okay.
And then all three of them came at me.
So they instigated the fight, as they just confirmed.
They even claim that their attacker used their proper pronouns, and they still throw water on them.
Look at how they're dying in this hospital bed right here. Dying to the wounds of their...
I wish we knew what the actual cause of death was.
I don't know if it's been released yet. I know that it was confirmed that it was not due to the trauma of the fight, but yeah, and I've been seeing this framed like this.
They released the 911 phone call with her mom where she says she's having a seizure, basically.
Yeah.
And her.
So completely separate situation.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, you know, it's sad that this girl died. I mean, or whoever there.
Of course. It's just a kid.
It's sad. Like, I mean, obviously we should feel sad about it, but we should not frame it like it's some kind of political arsenal.
We're trying to use it to weaponize it.
That's correct, because you kill us in schools, and this is what hate is doing.
You shouldn't use this dead child's face to mobilize your base on Twitter to harass libs of TikTok. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
It's like, I think that's disgusting. Like, I'm sure Next Benedict, they're a liberal and they would totally be all for this, but it's still a kid's death and you're using it as like political arsenal. It's fucking disgusting. Like, I mean, you're like the worst kind of person. I don't think we need to really play this out anymore. Maybe just a little bit more, but
they came at me. They grabbed onto my hair.
I
grabbed onto them. I threw one of them into a paper towel dispenser. And then they got my legs out from under me and got me on the ground, started beating the shit out of me.
Okay.
And then my friends tried to jump in and help, but I'm not sure. I blacked out.
They put their hands on you, okay, and it was unwanted. I will also tell you, though, that old saying, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, meaning the way the courts are going to look at it is it's a mutual fight, okay? So both parties are victims, but both parties are also suspects in this. You get what I'm saying? You're offender as well. So I will absolutely do a report. If that's what you want, I can do. Okay, but I'm just letting you know. If the other party wants to do the same thing, she's going to be, the assault will be on her as well. because she first assaulted. She was the one who initiated it, essentially, because you got freedom of speech. You can do all this all day long.
Mhm.
The action of physically, the moment
The
she
water.
threw that water, you've now assaulted somebody. You
Yeah, that's
made-
probably enough of that, Leighton.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was all I was gonna say on that.
Yeah, that's wild. I hadn't really heard of that one.
Yeah, but I've been
This-
seeing it all over leftist Twitter too and stuff.
Will you pull up that? I think it's in the private comments, that New York Post article that Mark had shared with us.
Yeah.
So this is a really terrible story. You'll have to read the girl's name. I should know it, but
Lakin Riley.
Lakin Riley was raped and murdered by an illegal immigrant. Where was she from?
Looks like I don't see it anywhere. We can read through the article and kind of get into it, but the Twitter post is really fucking crazy. It says migrant charged with murdering Lakin Riley likely panicked when she fought back. Likely.
It's another fucking terrible framing, kind of like our last story, where it's like it kind of is trying to. It almost sounds like
Scroll
they're trying.
down on the Twitter feed, because the Pacific had a post right afterwards that I don't know if it's there, but they summed it up perfectly.
You know, all I'm
it's not
seeing
there.
are just people that hate journalists, which I mean, I also hate journalists. Be like the most conniving, like fucking assholes who are trying to ruin your life for money.
But the Pacific parodied this post, and they're like, "What dress was she wearing?" And it was just like, because it's the victim blaming. They're making it seem like, if she wouldn't have panicked,
Yeah,
maybe
here it
she would
is.
still
Wall
be
Street
alive.
Journal. On your next article, will you blame it on what Lakin Riley was wearing and what she was asking?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's insane. And I mean, this literally happened like a week or two ago, and Democrats keep trying to tell us that we need to give more like vacancy and let people have more asylum in our country. And it's like under Joe Biden, I saw some statistics the other day where it's like 11 million people have come in this year illegally. And it's probably more than that. And that's more than the population of like large states. It's an insane amount of people. And we're starting to see the consequences everywhere. This is just a particularly tragic example of it. If you can't have a serious country if you don't have borders, and we're not going to be a serious country again until our borders start being enforced and until illegal immigrants start being kicked out and monitored more closely when they come here for work permits and visas, and not just allowed to say, oh yeah, okay, I'll return in a year and then stay for 5 or 6 and start a family here and have a family back home they're sending money to. It's like that might work great for you. I get how that's a good hustle if you're a Mexican that came over the border and you're making good money in America and sending it over and it's worth more back there. I don't care. It's not my plight and it's not my country. And if you don't have borders and you don't enforce your borders, it's like a couple generations from now, it's just going to be an extension of Mexico. Literally. I think it makes me think of the Lewis Black comedian that I saw at the Glories the other day when I was doing security, just like talking about, oh well, if you climb through the desert and you swim across the Rio Grande, if you do all this, you probably deserve to be in here. And it's just, he's a comedian. I guess that was a shitty joke, but the logic doesn't track for anything else. Like, oh well, if you plot to burn down the White House for months and months and months, and then you pull it off, and you burn down the White House, then you deserve to do it. That's a hyperbolic example, but there's no legitimate logic there. You don't deserve something because it was high effort, if it's illegal. You know what I mean? Just because you got away with it doesn't mean that you deserve it. It's such
Labor theory of value.
Commies.
Yes.
Communism.
Do we want to read through this article because it's super short? But
yeah,
I was skimming through it and it was like there's some really funny bits. Nursing.
It's not a funny story.
It's not funny, but the way that they wrote it is kind of funny. and
Okay.
it's kind of weird.
I'll be the
And
judge of that. Read it to us.
nursing student Lincoln Riley desperately tried to call 911 last week when a Venezuelan migrant pounced on her during a morning run. It was revealed Wednesday. Police documents show that Jose Antonio Ibarra, 26, prevented the 22-year-old from dialing the emergency helpline before he dragged her body to a secluded area after the vicious attack. Ibarra then panicked and likely bashed in her skull when Riley bravely tried to fight back. According to an analysis by former criminal profiler, Riley was found hours later on the University of Georgia campus with a disfigured skull. She died of blunt force trauma.
That's
There was
enough.
some
That's enough,
details.
Leighton. We don't need to read that whole article. It's
But
just fucking pissing
well,
me
let me
off.
find the one bit that I thought. But he didn't know what he was in for, and I suspect she probably fought back. He's not a very big fellow, and he may have been overwhelmed by her size and her strengths and the tenacity to fight back. I don't think it's really like picturing it.
It's like low key calling him a pussy. It's like trying to get a little jab in, but it's like, and he is. He's a coward. He's a piece of shit. And our cultures aren't that compatible. Like, Leighton, will you look up what the age of consent in Mexico is?
Yeah,
I'm not 100% on this, but I think it's pretty low.
Sure, gonna get put on a watch list for looking this up.
Better use it.
It is 15. Well, actually, minimum age of consent, sex of persons under this age is always illegal. 15, age at which there is no restrictions. 18. That's weird. I don't get that.
Okay. Well, that's
Must be some like extra dicey stuff with it that I don't know.
I know it was not long ago that it would like hardly was a law on the books. That's interesting. It must have changed. Yeah. You know, you remember when Nancy Pelosi was giving a speech to a bunch of Mexicans and she was trying to like appeal to them and win their favor. And she was like, this community is as diverse as breakfast tacos. It's like the least diverse food ever. It's like breakfast tacos are tacos with egg in them and like some bacon. What the fuck? There's no variation on the breakfast taco. It's a tortilla with breakfast food in it.
I've heard that like you know the term Latinx.
Yeah.
Latinx. If you call
Latinx.
Mexican, if you call a Latino that, they're gonna probably kick your ass.
Well, see,
I heard it's like
that
a slur there.
it's so hilarious that it's like people on the right get called colonizers. Like you are trying to colonize another culture with Latinx. You're saying like their whole language is based off of male and female pronouns, and Latinx is an effort to try to subvert that, but it subverts their whole entire culture,
It wasn't
their language. Like
it's the most
fucking
subversive
insane.
thing
It
you
is.
could do.
Also, it wasn't Nancy Pelosi that compared Latinos to breakfast tacos. It was Jill Biden.
Oh,
We have her apologizing right here.
This organization, understanding that the diversity of this community, as distinct as the Bogotas of the Bronx, as beautiful as the blossoms of Miami, and as unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio.
So it wasn't Nancy Pelosi. I don't
See-
think she would have been able to formulate the word breakfast.
And isn't she a doctor? Like, is
Yeah,
that what a degree
Dr.
gets
Joe
you? Yeah, definitely waste. Like, I don't know. I think college is such a waste now. Like, trade schools are where it's at.
It's a scam.
You know, it's a total scam.
Can you guys see this?
Yeah. What do you got?
What is
I wanted to show you Eric Adams.
Hi, I'm New York State Senator Eric Adams. And for 22 years, I wore a bulletproof vest. And is to empower parents on how to search a room inside their home. It's imperative that you should know what's inside your household.
Is this really
And
Eric
knowing the
Adams?
state
That
that
fucking
you
TV.
can't search
This
your
is
own
Where's
home.
it from?
You write the Constitution. There are no First Amendment to start out in a periodic fashion, so you'll be used to going through the
Search your
room and look
kid's
at,
room.
the
This is
various
normal.
items in the room. You can look in the jewelry box. A jewelry box of this nature, maybe a simple jewelry box, but if you look through it closely, you don't know what your child may be hiding. For instance, a gun could be hidden, a small caliber weapon could be hidden inside a jewelry box. Look at the various colognes and perfumes and photos and pictures. You should always, when your child brings in his popular knapsack with many different locations, look through it to see what exactly is your child carrying in addition to a book. Something simple as a crack pipe, a used crack pipe.
What
This
the
is
fuck?
a discussion piece. You should start speaking.
I love that it's all like
find out
there
what is it
too.
going with it.
It's so
You can find bullets.
They're like
What does
trying.
that
They're
mean
like
to
setting
find
up the
bullets?
set
Doesn't
for
mean the
this,
child is
and they're just like,
as
does
a
anybody have a
baby
crack
doll.
pipe? Eric Adams is like, oh, here you
Baby
go.
doll, but also it could be a place where you can secrete or hide drugs. Run your hands over.
Just thought that's funny.
Oh my
Hey,
gosh.
I get it if it's like post Columbine, like scared. Like, I mean, I understood
Well,
that. Like, everyone
the
was like,
sad
because like
thing
the
is-
Columbine shooters had all those fucking like 99 guns and shit like hidden in their room, and I get that. But
Well,
like,
dude, there were so many red flags, and then there, like, I think it's Eric Harris or Dylan Klebold's mom travels the country giving seminars about how she's a good person now,
oh,
and
she's a dipshit.
how it's impossible to tell. It's like she's partly like, dude, he was on like psychotropic drugs and shit, and I don't know.
That's a whole nother rabbit hole too, because she's a fucking terrible parent. Like, she tries to act like she's like the victim, but she's not. She's like she's a dipshit parent that didn't keep a good look at her kids and didn't make right decisions as a parent. And then a tragedy happened, and it's on her hands.
And now she's touring the country telling people how to parent
at TEDx.
Yeah.
They just, for the first time ever, started prosecuting parents in mass shootings because there was this mom who like shot a gun with her 16-year-old kid and then didn't secure it in the house, and he went to school and shot like.
I get that.
Or
Don't be a dipshit parent and leave your guns unlocked.
I don't know if I do agree with that, because like, it's not weird for a child. In my opinion, when I was a kid, I had 22s. I had like a shotgun. You know, but I don't, if I recall, I didn't get to keep my own firearms in my room more often than not, and they were secured. But what do you think, Mark? Do you think that it's justified? Like, it kind of seems like it could be a slippery slope, like prosecuting parents for what their kids do as far as like school shootings.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because in this case specifically, all this stuff comes out in court, like the fact that the mom was having an affair and all this stuff. Some of the kids like dark, weird social media tendencies, and like it's just like she got prosecuted because there were all these signs and there was all this other stuff going on that she was focusing on that like made it so her kids' mental health was not in order. And it's like at some level you're kind of responsible for that. So it's like, it's kind of hard to say, like, because the law itself is going to set the precedent now that like if this does happen again and there are younger kids involved in school shootings, that the parents are probably going to be responsible. Whether or not that's a good thing to like scare parents.
How young was
like my kid's mental health? He was like 15, 16.
Okay.
Or something in high school.
Was it a mass shooting or was it just a kid bringing a gun to his school?
It was a mass shooting because he shot 3 kids at the school, and I think a couple of them died, who were like top of their class and nice people. But he was an awkward, like he obviously was like a fat, greasy looking kid. Like, I mean,
he presented the
probably got picked on. Yeah, probably got picked on. And it's just like, instead of, you know, just his mom taking care of him, she takes him to the gun range and he fantasizes about killing them. It's like she was just kind of
trying to teach him. Yeah, I get that.
I mean, she was facilitating him becoming just like a terrible person, and she didn't really care about it. So it's like, I can kind of see why in that particular case they prosecuted her, but I don't know if it's really a good thing overall, because it's probably about to start happening more, and who knows what
sounds. It's a pretty sketchy precedent, honestly, in my opinion.
We have another Facebook comment. Bailey Cottongim. I went to high school with this girl. You are making me laugh hard. We are really happy that we're making you laugh.
Yeah.
We want you to feel emotions. We want you to laugh. We want you to cry. You know, we want you to be angry, especially angry. We try to get a reaction out of you.
I want people to be informed, but yeah, this show is for entertainment purposes, is what my lawyer told me to say.
Yeah.
It's a comedy show.
Yeah. I'm Steven Crowder. I'm a comedian.
It's all irony. Nothing we're saying is serious. We're not
And
sincere.
if we said anything that's like prosecutable,
It's irony. Don't
we
worry.
meant it in Minecraft. So
Yeah, it's
I think
sarcasm.
that kind of covers our bases.
Only in Minecraft.
Yeah. Oh man, I had such an interesting phone call earlier with it's a conservative activist in town that I've admired for a while, who just so happens to be a black man. I feel like we don't have very many like well-known conservative activists, except this guy Cavamoro. I talked to him on the phone, and we were talking about the school board, and I think the school board is worth mentioning because last year the school board, the conservatives lost the school board by like 250 votes. So I think we need to keep bringing this up on the show and like reminding people how close it was and like how important it is to be like locally active. Like, you know, national politics are one thing and it gives you a greater picture of what's happening and knowing what's going on in the world. But it's like, really, you have to preserve and look out for your best interests locally. And it's so important to be informed and like to know like when people are voting for the school board, especially if you have kids in Springfield Public School. And, you know, like Chad Rollins is running, I think, and Miriam is on the school board. She's probably my favorite one. She's like done the most like conservative, like looking out for children, like being very like vigilant. And Miriam, I forget her last name, but Miriam's the bomb. We want to get Sharita Thomas Tate out. She's a Marxist communist, like just like literally. I mean, that's literally what she is. Me and Calvin was kind of explaining this to me. He said he was going to do a video on it. I think it's brilliant how this cultural revolution that's happening in America is so similar to what happened in the era of like Mao in China, where they indoctrinated the children first. That's how they got everything going, is by having the curriculum changed and indoctrinating the children. And somebody like Sharita Thomas Tate, it's hard to tell if she's a useful idiot or if she's like, you know, she is funded by multiple organizations and has the backing of multiple like leftist organizations in town. So, you know, what's happening in this town today is important, you know, and to like keep up with this stuff, because conservatives should win this school board. We should win every issue that's voted on, because the liberals are so outnumbered in this area, yet people are just not that socially active. It's a shame, because we could live in a real oasis if we banded together and just like fought for our children and for common sense and just the basics, you know, just getting away from like this intersectionality, trying to get back to a system of meritocracy where people are elected to positions of power because they're the most qualified for that position, not because of some immutable characteristic that they own. You know, just go ahead.
On the topic of all the school board fights and stuff about that, Queen City Watchdog Group recently did a post on Susan Province.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
And they blocked. Yeah, they blocked Susan Province, one of the people running for your public school board, has blocked the page. So she disagrees with a page, and so whenever she sees a page of people that she disagrees with, she blocks them. That's who you're voting for. Like, Susan Province for SBS has blocked this page. We will no longer be able to share any of her campaigns, social media posts. Nothing says I will work for everyone to represent everyone, like blocking individuals and groups who disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's just like, that does say volumes. And, you know, we got our Queen Brittany Dyer saying that she got called names by Queen City Watchdog several times somewhere in here. But,
yeah, saying she got called names.
Yeah, you called me and my wife names on more than a handful of times. Practice what you preach.
Well, you guys are narcissistic and selfish and delusional and pretty mean-spirited, going to that Riley Gaines, like I forget the surfer chick with her arm bit off, but I guess that was either Brittany Dyer or her wife that had the stuffed shark, it turns out.
I think that was one of her followers that kind of went to the protest with her, but I don't think that was Brittany Dyer, her wife.
It wasn't herself.
Super old, like people.
Fake news.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it wasn't them, but Yeah, I mean Brittany Dyer.
We shouldn't stalk her Facebook right now. Twitter's.
We want you on the show. Like
she's never gonna come on the show. She knows she's welcome. I'm sure she saw the clip you sent her.
I'm sure if I get her address, she'll get on the show.
Stop it. Disavow. Disavow. That's a joke.
Disavowing.
This is a comedy show.
That was sarcasm. That was irony. Post-meta irony. We don't mean it.
Hey, have you checked Facebook in a while? Let's see what's happening on there.
I don't think much comments are happening on our Facebook. I can check again.
Boots.
Calvin says that there's going to be a dual Trump and Biden visit to the border tomorrow. Is that true?
Oh, I hadn't heard that. That's crazy.
Let's go.
That's gonna be funny. They should debate there. They should debate.
Yeah, I'd love to see a showdown.
They should fight to the death there. Winner takes all.
Who would win in a...
Can I share this? Biden's latest gaffe. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
I'm not sure.
Who would win a fight?
It's a good one.
Biden or Goku?
Trump 100%.
He said, and I want to make sure I get the quote exactly right. He said, the better angel, he said, we must address the council and address the better angels of our nature. And we do well to remember what else he said. He said, we're not enemies, but we're friends. It's in the part of the Civil War. He said, we're not enemies, but we're friends. We must not be enemies. Folks, and I've been around, no, I don't look it. I've been around a long while. And I mean this sincerely. Politics has gotten too bitter. And
he's like, folks, I've been around a while. I remember the first century, right after Jesus died.
I just love he comes up to it and he's like, I'm gonna make sure I don't get this wrong. The better angels. I was there.
I mean, who do you think would win a fight, Goku or Donald Trump?
Goku.
Goku.
Yeah.
Trump's laser eyes.
He's got the MAGA laser that's floating around our orbit right now.
Frankly, Trump has his MAGA laser, and it's in orbit right above Goku. Wouldn't stand a chance.
I saw the laser. I said, wow, what a big laser.
What a beautiful laser. Oh my gosh, that Lewis Black, that shitty comedian, I'm going to keep coming back to him because he had a joke where he was like, conservatives love the UFC, liberals love AOC. So let's have AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene have a cage fight. And I'm like, let's fucking go. I want to see that yesterday. Marjorie Taylor Greene did like CrossFit and shit. That bitch is bad. She would tear AOC up.
I think we should do what the Romans did and have like our politicians fight in like coliseums. Like
I've always joked about that. Like world leaders, if they want to start wars with each other, they should just have death matches instead of sending everybody's kids. It's like you guys figure it out. Honestly, that would not bode well though. If you're rooting for your country and you have like a Joe Biden as your president, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'll go to the cage match. You're like, don't do it, dude. China's gonna own us after this. And Xi Jinping just like chokes him to death or whatever.
I think that actually happened once in history where like a French and an English king fought each other, and they're just like, do you want 1,000 of your men to die, or do you want to settle this right here and make this field famous?
That's badass. That's amazing.
Interesting local news that I wanted to get into too. So yesterday we had a red flag warning. There were fires all across like the town of Seymour. Just
the wind was crazy yesterday.
Yeah, and like the whole town was like covered in smoke, and I was hearing sirens all day. And I do think that this might be a part of the MAGA laser. I think it might have set its coordinates for this location and have probably set on fire. But another interesting news story, I'm trying to find it. It's related to these guys.
He looks like a nice guy.
This is so about like 20 or 30 years ago, there was a murder and it was just solved recently. And they finally had an arrest on a murder that's like 30 years old. And these are the guys, I guess, who are the suspects. I didn't read much of the newspaper on it, but it was very interesting to see,
Who'd they kill? I feel like that's the interesting part. Like, what was that?
Let me look it up. Webster County citizen. Yeah, I'm doxing myself, guys.
Oh yeah. If anybody
yeah,
wants to know
here we
Layton's
are.
address, it's 123 Innie Street.
I'm on Beaver Street, dude. I'm living on Beaver Street.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, here we are. Here are the murders. It is the Workman murder. 35 years until arrest.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. 3 dudes, these pieces of
So
shit. They ought to just
Kelly-
hang those old bastards.
Kelly Workman is found dead, I guess, in Ava. And they were caught. These are the murders. 3 men are charged of first-degree murder in 1989. Murder 24-year-old Kelly Ann Workman.
It must have been DNA, right? Like, how do you even
Oh,
solve
I
crime
don't
that
know.
long later?
Let me read into it. Nearly 35 years since her sister went missing, and just over a week later, her body was found in the Mark Twain National Forest near Oldfield. Pam Workman was able to see the 3 men responsible for the crime charged with the 1989 murder of 25-year-old Kelly Workman. I'm trying to see more about how they got that. They had like a press meeting at a gravesite or something, but I'm trying to see what like evidence they have towards it, because I bet it is DNA.
And I say that because I jumped straight to fuck it, hang him. But then I'm like, wait a second, I don't know anything about this story. But I would assume, like, if it's that long later, it must be DNA, right?
I'm still looking.
Anyways, if it's not DNA, don't hang them.
Our testimony on this case is rock solid. This is going to be an old-fashioned 1989 case with witnesses and live testimony. There are numerous witnesses who testify as well as an eyewitness.
Coming out 30 years later, that doesn't even make sense.
I don't know. That is weird now that I read about it. But hey, front page news.
Yeah, you gotta read into that shit. The news is so retarded nowadays. It's like
this individual. There's been a lot of like people who don't like the people behind the Webster County Citizen, and I kind of get it. Like I saw this one YouTube video somewhere, but I guess it is just based off of eyewitness. Like I was saying, let me find that YouTube channel that's like dissing on the news.
Maybe it's just one of their friends from like 30. Oh gosh, I shouldn't even like who's this? Like, if an eyewitness waits 30 years to come forward, is it still like a reputable witness? Does that work in court?
I think so.
Oh yeah, I found the video that I found. I was looking up one day about seeing like my area and my town, and I found this video. This guy saying boycott the Webster County Citizen newspaper, which is where I found this article. And he just he's a real dapper fellow right there.
Hi everybody, I'm Jeff and I used to own Missouri Wind and Solar here in Seymour, Missouri. Today I'd like to talk about our hometown newspaper, the Webster County Citizen, owned by Dan Weimer. He is the editor, publisher, and the owner of the paper. It's a little one-town, small town paper like that. Well, this guy's the only thing going.
This guy's
I
eating
wanted to do a little
corn and candy pumpkins.
Do what?
Yeah, he likes. It's like a 12-minute video of him like dissing on this the newspaper guy, which I've met this guy in real life. Like he's kind of cool.
Well, you keep jumping to your conclusions without having all the information involved in the thing. Because what is this guy said he's the former owner of like a wind and solar company. I'm assuming this publication must have wrote something negative about him that ruined his company. Like, is that what he was about to get at?
I don't think so, because in the description it shows it says white supremacist Weimer's article. So I guess it's an article on white supremacists that he wrote for the newspaper back in September the 1st of 2021.
So he's not our guy.
Who's the white supremacist? Wait, the newspaper wrote an article and called him a white supremacist?
No, he just wrote like a really politically charged article on white supremacy, and I guess he didn't like that, and
Who did?
Boycott it. The guy in the YouTube video. The guy in the YouTube video saw
Click on the article about white supremacy.
Yeah, here we are. We'll read it. Roughly 90 years ago, soon after being named Chancellor of Nazi Germany,
Pause real quick. Actually, I want to add some context to this. This is fucking insane that the Webster County Citizen, this dumbass that owns it, is such a retarded liberal that he's
I don't
like,
think he's a
well,
liberal. I think
he's like,
conservative.
okay. I'm jumping to conclusions, but it's like, what does white supremacy have to do with Webster County right now? When is this article from?
It is from 2021. It has nothing to do, honestly, with Seymour. Like, we're a small.
He's like, okay, I own a publication. I have to be a leftist shill.
I don't want to read it.
Not like I'm condoning white supremacy, obviously, but it's just like, what is this doing on a local news site? Do read it, please. I'm interested now. You've hooked me.
Roughly 90 years ago, soon after being named Chancellor of
Lazy
Nazi
ass.
Germany, Adolf Hitler began his purge of opponents, namely Jews, by tracking their monetary assets at all German banks.
Hitler bad, agreed.
A process that led to the murder of more than 6 million Jews, among millions of others, as once the Nazis tracked assets, they easily were seized. Just a quick word from our sponsor.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, bro.
Instance of the forced aid of businesses, banks coerced by a dictator and his bureaucratic cronies. Oddly, it appears this practice soon is coming to America, courtesy of President Joe Biden's new version of economics. Call it financial fascism. In a nutshell, the current administration is wanting all banks to report to the IRS any transaction in or out of any account in excess of $600. Make a house payment, the government knows. Make a car payment, the government knows. Withdraw money for a vacation, the government knows. Loan $600 or more to a family member in need, the government knows. I think you get the point. But the greater point is that this is a terrible intrusion into people's lives and essentially makes their banks, even your local bank, an arm of the IRS.
Good
Yes,
points.
it mirrors the practice of the Nazis that began in 1933, except all of us are the Jews. Above that, it adds, I don't know. It's
Wait, yeah. No, why is it? Did he do this just to get attention? Just title it about white
I think
supremacy.
in a lot of his articles, he talks about national politics because I've read the newspaper every once and again.
That seems pretty conservative, that take there.
I mean, yeah, President Joe Biden, calling it financial fascism and comparing Joe Biden.
Right.
So
look who's jumping to conclusions now. It was me. I called him a retarded liberal, and that was.
And I guess this guy didn't like it. Like, I don't know. It's a carving channel. And he's saying the boycott.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jeff.
Bro, if you're gonna pull shit up like that, you need to know what's going on. That was just such a wormhole.
I don't know. It just circled through my mind again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to have seen it. It was interesting, I guess, but. Jeez.
So they're trying to label that guy a white supremacist for writing the article that.
Oh, we don't fucking know, dude. We
yeah.
don't. Oh, probably that guy was, and he owned a company called Solar and Wind, so he's the weird woke guy.
He's the leftist.
So we figured it out. So
Who's the lefty?
I don't know. I took 2 drowsy allergy medicine before coming on the show, so
don't fall asleep there.
I'm not.
Let's wrap it up.
Hey, okay. Well, let's do what were we calling it? Improv AI theater.
Improv.
Yeah. Are you ready for this, Mark?
Yeah.
We have to do a comedy sketch with 3 characters about. Mark, help us out here.
3 characters.
Write a comedy sketch with 3 characters. What's it about?
Oh, what if it was about the MAGA laser?
Oh.
About a.
You said about twice. You said about
a mega laser that orbits Earth and starts fires and liberals.
I got to get into character for this one.
Write a comedy sketch of 3 characters about a MAGA laser that orbits Earth and starts wildfires and eradicates liberals.
There's no way it'll write that. Let's go, Bob, Alice, Tim.
The MAGA laser misadventure.
Oh, dang. Okay. Wait, go back up to our. Oh, you got to let it finish, I guess.
Here we go.
Okay, Bob, a staunch supporter of MAGA. I got to be Bob. I have the hat on.
Alice, a rational and skeptical individual who.
Leighton, I'm sorry, but you have to be the girl. Marcus Tim.
A hapless bystander in the middle of Bob and Alice's antics. Okay.
The scene opens with Bob wearing a Make America Great Again cap, excitedly explaining his latest theory to Alice and Tim. And that's why I believe the government has a MAGA laser orbiting Earth. It's going to eradicate all them liberals and make America great again.
Rolling her eyes. Bob, not this again. You can't seriously believe that there's a laser orbiting Earth causing wildfires and eradicating liberals.
Oh, you bet I do. It's all part of the plan to save America from those pesky liberals and their environmental regulations.
Guys, I'm not sure a laser can just target liberals. That sounds a bit far-fetched.
Tim, you just don't get it. This is top secret government stuff. They're using advanced technology to weed out the weak-minded lefties.
Bob, even if such a laser existed, which it doesn't, don't you think it would be causing more harm than good? I mean, wildfires are destroying homes and natural habitats.
Collateral damage. Alice, sacrifices must be made for the greater good of America. A sudden loud noise interrupts their conversation. They rush to the window to see a beam of light streaking across the sky, followed by the sound of sirens.
Oh no, what's happening?
It's the MAGA laser! It's real! It's finally doing its job!
Bob, that's not something to celebrate. We need to call the authorities and get out of here before we become collateral damage.
They rush out of the room as chaos ensues outside. The scene fades to black.
Dude, Bob should have said, "Where we go one, we go all." Trust the plan.
I feel like ChatGPT definitely thinks that MAGA supporters are some kind of crazy fascists that want to eradicate people. I guess we did tell it that we wanted to eradicate liberals in the prompt. I don't know. That's a pretty good one.
We did say that. Walk fires and eradicate liberals.
Well, until next time, folks.
I got a song to play, so.
I've got a song that I want to play. I got a song that I want to play. Do it.
Good night, everybody.
Cash.
Funny walk, funny.